Welcome back. I'm continuing on this theme of Jonah and Jonah being the original Jacques Cousteau. Why do I say that? Well, in chapter 2 of the book of Jonah, we read this. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord, his God, from the stomach of the fish, and he said, I called out of my distress to the Lord, and he answered me. I cried for help from the depth of Sheol. You heard my voice, for you had cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the current engulfed me. All your breakers and billows passed over me. So I said, I have been expelled from your sight. Nevertheless, I will look again toward your holy temple. Water encompassed me to the point of death. The great deep engulfed me. Weeds were wrapped around my head. I descended to the roots of the mountains. The earth with its bars was around me forever. But you have brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God, while I was fainting away. I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came to you into your holy temple. Those who regard vain idols forsake their faithfulness, but I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. That which I vowed I will pay. Salvation is from the Lord. So he had vowed to go, and now he's going to pay his vow. Then the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah up onto the dry land. Now, I want you to think about this. Can you imagine taking that long to sink down to the bottom of the Mediterranean? Imagine trying to stay afloat in the current, trying to stay above the breakers, but realizing you can't as the billows overtake you. Then thinking about wanting to die and slowly sinking over 3 to 5 miles deep to the bottom of underwater mountains and slowly fainting away. Then having to think about your predicament for 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of an animal, dark and cold and wet and smelly, before crying out to God in prayer and being vomited onto the dry land. You see that? Did you catch that? Weeds were wrapped around my head. I descended to the roots of the mountains, underwater mountain ranges. That's why I call him the original Jacques Cousteau, the underwater sea or the undersea explorer. Did you know that prior to 1927, mankind did not know that the sea is full of mountain ranges? Yet Jonah proclaimed that he was at the root of the mountains 760 years before the birth of Jesus. That's more than 2,500 years before we knew that there were mountain ranges under the sea. I find that interesting. So that's a short look at chapter 2. Remember, I talked about chapter 1, Jonah as a representation or a foreshadowing of Jesus Christ. So that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in.